Hello, friends. Glage back after another hiatus. A little bit longer than I would have liked, but that's what happens when your ISP gives you a lot of issues for 2.5 months and makes it hard to do your actual job. But that's neither here nor there. Those things are solved for now, and I'm going to slowly get back to making this channel not a dead zone again. But wanted to come with you today with something a little different. As you can see, I've been playing the DNF Duel beta over the weekend. The second beta test started. And wanted to give you all my initial impressions on the game and some thoughts, a little bit of information about it, and just kind of give something as a potential new thing to look forward to with this game coming out this summer. So, first and foremost, this game's rad. I went from having modest interest in it. Obviously, it's using the ArcSys engine, and it's got some people on the team that have worked on past games like the Guilty Gear series and stuff. So, that alone makes me interested. And I've played DFO, the actual MMO with friends and stuff in the past. But I wouldn't say I'm like a massive fan of the franchise or anything, but, know enough about it to appreciate what this game is and all that. But I went from, modest interest to playing it for about 6 hours, 7 hours over the past 2 days. And I am absolutely stoked for this game now. I think this is going to be a very, very big surprise for people, and there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to with this new title. So I just wanted to give you my initial impressions and what I think of the game overall, what I think of the character I've been playing, and just some ideas going forward. So first, let me just say I am still learning about system mechanics. I'm still learning about how things work, how interactions work, what things can be done, what, and I don't have the knowledge of this game like I do Guilty Gear. So take my knowledge, my input here with a grain of salt. There may be some information that is somewhat off or maybe flat out incorrect. I'm not going to promise everything I'm telling you is gospel by any stretch here. So, and of course, this is an open beta test. All of this is very subject to change, for the final release of the game and all that good stuff. So, don't get too hung up on me saying X, Y, or Z is, the absolute truth behind anything with the game. But the first thing that really grabbed me about this game is that it is super intuitive. You can pick this up and immediately start hitting buttons and have a good feel for what the character you're playing is supposed to do and how you want to use them. I honestly am shocked at how much this game is like the polar opposite of Strive. Buttons all gatling into other buttons with very obvious intent. If you think a button's going to cancel into another button, it probably does. And it's really, really intuitive, really easy to pick up. And it just feels good. Like you can just hit buttons and do strings right out the gate and feel like you have something. You have a way to make a block string, all that good stuff. And I know something that a lot of people, kind of find to be worrisome when they first saw like the system mechanics and the general play of DNF is, oh man, this game's really simple. It's not going to have death. And the game is definitely more simple than a lot of games, but don't let that fool you. There is a lot going on in this game, and I think it's really well designed. There is going to be plenty of depth, plenty of ways to separate yourself with better skills, better fundamentals, better overall play than your opponent. Just because it's not going to have a super high execution barrier does not mean this game is going to be simple to be, high level at. I think this game has a lot of cool stuff going for it. And the simplicity, I think, is only a strength overall. And that starts really with these buttons. Buttons feel good in this game. The character I'm playing, the Ghostblade, I hit a few of the buttons right out the gate, and I'm just like, oh man, these seem good. And after a few hours of playing and kind of learning how to play the game at the absolute most basic level, I found out the buttons are pretty good. And from what I've talked to other people who played other characters, almost everyone feels like they have good things. Everyone feels like they have real pokes that lead into pressure and potential offense and all that kind of stuff. When I mentioned earlier, I feel like this is the polar opposite of Strive. It is so much easier to apply offensive pressure in this game. You can do real block strings that last longer than a few taps because there's so many ways to Gatling. There's so many ways to cancel things. And tons of stuff is just plus in this game. You have tons of ways to frame trap really well. You have plenty of ways to end long block strings safely and not just die because you know, hit your one heavy button and then didn't immediately cancel it into your one special move or anything like that. If you make someone block, you get a lot of options in this. You get to dictate the pace of play for a good while, and that feels really, really good. I'm a huge fan of it. Like, the Gatlings in this are really what I wish Strive had, because it's just like, okay, this game has 4 buttons standard for, you know, your move set. You have A and B, which are your light and heavy attacks respectively. So to speak, your normal attacks. Then you have a special button, and you're probably going to hear me call these next 2 buttons C and D just out of habit, you know, like S and K or Persona style buttons. So you know, 2 normals, 2 buttons for normals, a 3rd button that is just called special that, you know, executes some pretty big, you know, wind up moves that have really massive hitboxes or long hit duration. That, you know, are cancelable. And then you have what's called the metered special, which you'll probably hear me call the D button just out of habit, but that is your button for special moves and activating most of the time what your character's most unique mechanics are. And the cool part about this is everything is cancelable. Like, if you want to go A to B to C, let your C move rock, you can cancel to another C move that's going to be safe. Almost, from what I've seen, pretty much every character has something like this where it's like, okay, I don't want to commit meter to using a special move, so I'm just going to use my safe C button ender to, you know, end my turn, but I'm not going to get punished for it. But you can cancel pretty much anything you want at any time into a metered special, including all metered specials into more meter specials, if you have the meter. Basically, think of everyone in this game's meter special button like playing Sin and Exert or Nagoriyuki and Strive. If you want to keep canceling something into something else, you can do it until you run out of meter. But the neat thing is that meter is not like homogeneous in this. It's not like, oh, you have a metered special that costs 40 and then one that costs 50. Meter cost is different amongst the characters, and some characters have like really ridiculous meter specials that would feel like, you know, supers or ultras in other games, but they just cost a boatload of meter, right? So you get like a real unique character diversity through that, which is really cool. And the ability to cancel, you know, meter special into another meter special is an option for block strings. It lets you be really freeform with combos. It lets you set up potential Oki situations at the end of combos or resets. There's a lot of freeform here, and I'm shocked at how much freeform there is for a game that, you know, on paper looks very simple. Really, really big fan of how this feels. Combos especially, combos are super easy to pick up in this game. Like, I don't know anything super optimal, but I figured out some real basic stuff that allowed me to win games like right out the gate. And that doesn't necessarily mean a lot because, you know, it's an open beta test and people have barely touched this game. So you have no idea where player skill is, and, you know, winning is good. It means you're figuring some stuff out, but, you know, it's impossible to tell how much of it is winning because you're outplaying your opponent, how much of it is just people have no idea what the hell is going on yet. So, and there's going to be a lot to figure out, especially on defense, because let me tell you, there are characters that if they want to start the block string party on you, that shit can go on for a long, long time, especially if they're willing to spend meter to do it. So there is a guard cancel in this, similar to Strive's YRC or the old Guilty Gear's dead angle attacks. It does cost meter and stuff, but that thing's going to be important. I can already tell, because there are characters that if you don't try to guard cancel out, man, you get stuck for a long time, and you got to hold it, because stuff that feels like gaps where you're like, okay, I can probably poke out. No, you cannot. You are about to get hella punished on a frame trap. So, but I'm okay with that. It feels so much better to me than like Strive's very blatantly forced turn-based gameplay, you know? Obviously, there are characters who are quite good at stealing turns in Strive, especially the stronger ones, but, you know, you guys have heard me talk in the past about how Strive very much wanted to show the player when their opponent's turn was over by having very few things be plus, by, you know, having obvious ends to strings unless people are willing to spend meter. And so that feels just completely opposite here. It feels like you have a lot of flexibility in your offensive pressure. And in contrast, your opponent has good defensive options to try and deal with it. And I think that's the baseline for what can be a really fun and really well-designed game going forward. So what else? Throws are not one frame, but you can do them while dashing, so that's very similar to Strive. You can definitely catch people with throws in this game. However, as far as I can tell, they don't do hard knockdown. So, you know, you get your turn, especially if you throw someone like into the corner. But I don't think throws are Guilty Gear strong in this. I don't know if you can cancel them or not yet with the cancel option in this game. But as far as I can tell, you can't. So throws are very much just another tool to keep your opponent in the mix, keep them honest to your offense and that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, with the amount of block string pressure and the high-powered offense you can apply in this game, people are definitely going to be willing to sit because they have to. They're going to have to hold pressure for a while. So figuring out how to mix in throw is definitely going to be an important part of success in this game, because if you can convince people to get antsy and flinch during frame traps and stuff, man, you can put a hurting on people for it real bad. So that kind of gives you an idea of the basic, gameplay flow of offense and defense of the game. In addition to the 4 main attack buttons, you have 2 other buttons. There is a guard button in this game. Now, I know people freak out about guard buttons, especially in 2D games. It's important to note, you do not have to use the guard button to block. You can do the old-fashioned hold back and all that stuff. What is important to note is that the guard button is going to be superior because guard buttons mean you're going to automatically block cross-ups and stuff like that. And let me tell you, there are some pretty big cross-ups in this game already that I've seen, and even some janky ones I've created on my own. So that guard button's going to be real useful. And then the last button is your Awakening Super. Awakenings were like the ultimate moves in DFO, the MMO. And those are recreated here. Once you get down to critical health, so you see, look up at the health bar there. Once you get to that last third or quarter of the bar, I can't remember quite how they break it up, but and your health flashes to that red level, your Awakening Super becomes unlocked. And it's just a button. It's really easy to combo into. Again, really freeform. If you do it super deep in a combo, it scales pretty hard. But it's definitely a powerful tool that comes on deck if you get knocked down to critical life, for sure. So those are the other 2 main buttons. Throw is a 2-button motion in this game. It's A plus B. The guard cancel is B plus your special button. So I'm just going to call it BC because I'm a lazy old asshole and I'm going to use other games terminology because, it's me. You guys know how I work by now. And yeah, let's see. Other important mechanics so far. The white life mechanic. So you've probably noticed that like a lot of combos or block strings change the life bar to like that whitish gray color. And how that works is over time that can regenerate. But if you ever get hit by someone's special or metered special button, you lose all that life. It's gone. The interesting part about the white life is that it is what's used for this game's version of Roman canceling, extending combos. And I am not very good with it yet. I haven't really gotten to where I can apply it because I've kind of just been focusing on very basic fundamentals. That system feels real strong. Sacrificing your health to extend combos or extend pressure, all that stuff, I think that's going to be real good. maybe I'm wrong, and that's going to be too big of a risk, and you won't be able to use it as much as I think. But some of my fighting game friends I played with, who played a lot of the first beta and are kind of getting a really good feel for the game, they use that shit frequently, and I can see the power in it. See, it feels like a very, very strong mechanic. But the cool thing is that, you know, because your biggest special moves are all tied to your meter, effectively your mana, to mimic DFO, meter management is super important. Like, meter regenerates organically over time, you know, like I said, different moves cost different amounts of meter. But if you ever use your entire meter stock in one given point and run down to 0, you basically get put in this game's version of negative penalty, where you're going to be without meter for a hot minute. And once it does finally come back, it's going to regenerate slower. So managing meter is super important, especially with how tempting it is to do stuff where you cancel meter specials into one another, especially if you're trying to set up Oki or other stuff like that. So that's going to be one of those things. Like, there's some of your secret depth to this game. People who can really manage their meter well, they're going to be rewarded in this game without question. And then managing when you do exhaust your meter is also going to be interesting. It's important to note that the more damage you take, the bigger your meter bar gets. So you start out with your meter capped at 100. As you get lower in life, it can drop all the way, or it'll boost itself all the way up to where you can have 200 meter, and that is a lot. You can do some shenanigans when you've got 200 meter on deck, let me tell you. So, but yeah, basically, you know, after a weekend of playing this, I'm excited. I definitely intend to be playing this, and I might even try to make content for it, and you know, if I get a good feel for it and feel like I understand the game well, and feel like I have the ability to provide worthwhile information and help other people learn stuff about the game, I may very well do stuff similar to what I did with Strive, and try and teach people about it. So we'll see. Obviously, you know, I never know what's going to be going on at that point in life, and we'll see if this is just like a honeymoon period in the game for me, or if you know, when it really starts getting figured out, if it loses some of the luster. But I think this game has a lot of room to grow, and I think it's just fun. It's so easy to pick up, and it feels so good to play. Neutral feels rewarding. You have so many options, like I said, and the characters feel really diverse already, which is always a big plus. So, and the nice thing is, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you know, yes, this game is definitely simplified. You can do all of your special moves, you know, like Smash style. If you want to do your metered specials, they're all, you know, nothing's more complicated than like a 2-3-6 or a DP motion. That's it. But you don't even have to use those. You can just do forward plus meter special button, back plus meter special button, down plus meter special button, which is most people's DP. So you can do that. However, there is a reason to actually do the input, and that is if you use the input on your metered specials, they actually use a little bit less meter. I don't know if there's any other benefits besides that, but even if that's it, that's big. That's a very powerful thing. If you can do your metered moves for cheaper in a game like this, that's going to be good, real good. So I think that touches on all the basic game stuff that I feel like I can explain in any worthwhile capacity at this point, you know, with only 6-7 hours under my belt. So I'll just kind of talk a little bit about the character I picked up, which is the Ghostblade. And this character is so fun and so cool. He basically plays like a Persona 4 Arena character. The Ghost homie is really good. And some of the buttons you can use with him, they all cost meter, obviously. That's the metered special button. But, oh my god, that move you just saw where he flashes across the screen, that is the I want to control neutral now button. You just, like, you have a full screen projectile that's really fast. And the really unique thing about the Ghostblade is that rather than having a DP on his down plus metered special button, he actually has a teleport. just a dash style teleport that can cross up depending on distance. And it allows you to do stuff like I just did there, where you send the ghost homie out, get a counter hit, and just get a full confirm for following up. And I am just doing very basic rudimentary stuff. I found ways to, in combos and call ghost homie there to do like a three slash string, which allows you to do a whole lot of pressure. There's gaps in it, so you can do tick throws if you want. You can bait people into trying to reversal or jump out. And jumping is perilous in this game. There's no FD. Every single thing is air unblockable. If you get hit in the air, you might be in trouble. It's real bad. Jumping out is not going to be a solution to a whole lot of problems in this game. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, this character feels real good, really simple and straightforward to pick up. Like I said, his buttons are good. His 5A and his 2A are nuts. Super long range. That's his 5A right there. That basic slash you're seeing, what looks like Anji's Far Slash and Strive, that's his light button. That's his A. And the 2A version is a low and confirms into full combos, which is awesome. So he's got really good neutral control. But obviously the price you pay with that is that his buttons are definitely slower than quite a few characters, because, well, if you're going to get a 5A like that, there's got to be some trade-off for it. Also of note, that thing still hits people crouching. So it's not something that can be ducked or low-profiled easily. So pretty good. Yeah, super easy pickup. He honestly feels like a puppet character, where the puppet involves pushing one button and letting him do work. And it feels great, because if you've ever wanted to play a puppet character but have been intimidated by, the aspect of trying to control two characters or the execution requirements to do it, because let's face it, a lot of the Arx's puppet characters are not easy on the hands. They require a lot of dedication to learn. This is a great way to try that out, because if you ever just want to do block strings into your homie, Ghostblade has you covered. As some of my close buddies in the fighting game community told me, knowing that I am a vapid Bleach fanboy, they're like, yeah, this dude's awakening is just the Bleach season finale. And yeah, they're right. Accurate. 100% accurate. So just aesthetically, it also appeals to me in my fucking nerdy attitude. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about this game now. I haven't gotten just like immediately addicted to a fighting game like this in a long time. So, and of course it's beta, so, the lobbies are buggy and, there's going to be stuff to be ironed out and all that, but I've already gotten plenty of really good connections. Feels every bit as playable as Strive. Good rollback netcode, especially since we're only in the beta, and it still feels really good when you get a good connection. I know a lot of my friends from the West Coast have played plenty of sets with people in Japan, and it was perfectly playable. Granted, netcode always feels better the less you know about a game, because, well, you just can't tell when something's feeling really bad. But in the era of rollback, when you're playing in something that feels laggy and gross, and this definitely does not feel like that. So that's a big plus. Helps a lot. So, yeah. Don't really know a lot about the other characters. I did play a lot against two of my buddies, one who plays Hitman and one who plays Vanguard. Vanguard is just neutral buttons the character, gigantic moves, no mix, quote unquote, but the big buttons and a really big DP. But my buddy who plays Vanguard did comment that my 5A and 2A scared the hell out of him, because up until this point, Vanguard was the character with the 5A that was the big old stop sign. It's like, nah, this is my neutral. You go away. I'm better at footsies than you. Haha. And Ghostblades is faster and reaches just as far. So he's like, oh, this is terrifying. I don't like this. So that was kind of interesting. Hitman is the robbery character. Hitman, when he gets put in awakening status, every character gets passive buffs, and they're all different when you get put in awakening status, in addition to unlocking your ultimate awakening move. And Hitman, when he gets put in awakening, the match has actually begun, because that character will absolutely rob you by hitting you with a 3/4 screen poke that confirms into like 70%. That character is a terrorist. So look forward to that when you see how Hitman works. He's basically Dante from the Marvel games, with better range and better frames. So have fun. And then obviously the footage I recorded here against a Ranger, played quite a bit. Don't know how good this character is. This is the only one I've played, and you know, like, he was okay. He definitely adapted to me after a while, but I didn't feel nearly as oppressed fighting this as I did like Vanguard or Hitman. And you know, the two buddies I played a lot of the first betas, so they're definitely more, you know, established at this. I don't know how long this player's been playing. So not sure entirely how good Ranger is, but definitely has the same thing. Lots of frame traps, obviously range because, well, you got guns. And I think he's got some pretty sneaky mix-up built in there somewhere, but we'll see. But yeah, if you haven't been paying attention to DNF, I definitely recommend keeping your eye on it. I think this game has a lot of potential. And like I said, if you just want another fighting game to pick up, you know, just as something to play when you're burnt out on your main game, or you just want a fun side game that you can play effectively without, you know, needing 50 billion years in the lab, I think this is going to be perfect for that. This game really, like I said, is super intuitive out of the gate, and that to me is a really good sign. I'm really, really glad that I picked it up and immediately felt good about the buttons I was hitting, because, like I said, after the very limited Gatlings and Strive, this feels like a breath of fresh air. So obviously this plays very different from Guilty Gear Strive. Movement is not nearly as potent in this game. There's no air dashes, there's no double jumps, none of that stuff. So, you know, this is definitely a more grounded base game, but the Gatling and the offensive pressure reminds me of older Guilty Gear in a lot of ways, and also kind of a little bit of like Under Night, where everyone just has gigantic buttons. Like, I mean, if you've been paying attention to this footage at all, you were seeing like some of the buttons in this game are just like, yeah, I own 3/4 of the screen. What of it? It was one button. What are you gonna do about it? And the nice part is there's answers both ways to that. So it's a really cool dichotomy so far. I'm all in on this game right now. I hope the full release is going to feel just as good. And if it does, you can expect me to be playing this and probably at the very least posting up some match footage. And like I said, if I feel like I can rub enough brain cells together to provide worthwhile information and teach people about it, then I might just do that. So, but anyway, that's all I have for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the match footage, and you know, I've inspired people to give the game a look if they haven't already. And yeah, definitely expect a little bit more in the future. The rest of the Plus R stuff I promised is still in the works. I haven't forgotten about it. Believe me, it just, with the problems I had with my ISP, I have gotten so far behind on streaming, which is, you know, how I make my actual income, that I just have not had time to work on those guides and give them the proper care that they deserve. And even if I had, I couldn't upload for nearly 2.5 months, so it wouldn't have done me any damn good. But I have some stuff in the work. I have a couple videos that I'm going to be working with other Guilty Gear players and commentators that I value their input and opinion greatly, because I want their input on some stuff I'm going to put out in regards to Anji's matchups and regards to the tier list. But those videos I talked about in that post way back in, February? I don't remember when. Time's a mystery anymore. Whatever that post went up in the community tab, I still am going to do those. So I haven't forgot about it. I will definitely, finish the rest of the Plus R Anji guides at some point here. And I'm still playing Plus R. You know, that hasn't changed. Still going to be that old man playing old Guilty Gear. So if you're waiting on those, I promise they will get here. Obviously, I don't have a time frame because, you know, as I've told y'all many times, YouTube is just kind of this fun side hobby for me. But I hadn't uploaded anything forever, and I just kind of wanted to talk about this game. So here you go. Here's the hiatus break video. I hope the next one will be not, you know, 3 months apart. I will do my best to make sure I don't have nearly that kind of a gap. So, but for those of you who come back to check this out, I appreciate it. Thanks for, you know, always checking out stuff on the channel, and, you know, those of you that do the like, sub, comment thing, appreciate that too. It's never necessary for me. Again, YouTube is not my job, never going to be my job, but I do appreciate the support I've gotten on here nonetheless. So, yeah, I'm going to call it there. Get this thing uploaded to the channel, and yeah, look forward to more stuff in the near future, whether it's the rest of the Plus R stuff you've been waiting on, or stuff with DNF Duel in the future. And, you know, Strive Season 2 is coming. We'll see what it brings. If it does stuff that makes me interested in playing Anji again, I'll be there, and I'll be making stuff for it, but we'll see what happens. He hasn't gotten out of the gutter yet, and I don't know if Arxis is ever going to let him. So, no promises that there will be a lot on the Strive front, but if Season 2 does enough to lure me back in to the latest version of Guilty Gear, I'll be there. So, but as always, thanks for watching. Y'all take care of yourselves. Please stay safe, and yeah, I will catch you all on the next one. So, peace for now.